Upon a stern throne, Gandalf rules, wielding the One Ring as a tool for societal transformation. Middle-earth rallies behind his vision of equality and collective welfare, where dissent is swiftly quelled for the greater good. Amidst the adoration, Gandalf is unwavering, utterly convinced of his righteousness under the ring's influence. In this utopian facade, individualism yields to the common good, but beneath lies coercion and authoritarianism. For nothing is evil in the beginning. Even Sauron was not so. Envisioning a Middle-earth where Gandalf accepts the One Ring from Frodo conjures terrifying images of a realm twisted under the guise of freedom from evil, yet forever tainted by the malice of Sauron's influence within the ruling ring. Follow along to discover the consequences of Gandalf using the One Ring. When Gandalf, with a mixture of reluctance and resolve, accepts the One Ring from Frodo, amidst the quaint charm of Bag End, it sets in motion a profound shift in Middle-earth's fate. Understanding the imminent threat posed by Sauron's rising power and the encroaching shadow of the Nazgul, Gandalf takes on the weighty burden of the ring. Recognizing its potential to galvanize the Free Peoples against the Dark Lord's tyranny, he decides that action must be taken quickly. Even with Gandalf's choice to carry the One Ring, the initial core events align closely with Tolkien's tale. Frodo, accompanied by the ever-watchful Sam, flees the Shire, joined soon after by the enthusiastic Merry and Pippin. Their path leads to Bree, where they await Gandalf at the Prancing Pony, but as in the original, he does not appear. Instead, they encounter Strider, who becomes their guide on the journey to Rivendell. In this altered course, Aragorn, though instructed to convey Frodo to Rivendell, harbors a growing interest in the ring's fate and feels compelled to assist Gandalf as soon as the hobbits are safe, subtly foreshadowing his pivotal role in the quest to come. In the alternate version of events, Gandalf's possession of the One Ring significantly reshapes the course of affairs. Departing from the Shire, he discreetly conceals the ring and encounters Radagast, who innocently discloses Saruman's summons for Gandalf to come to Isengard. Despite his subsequent captivity atop Orthanc for several months, Gandalf, empowered by the One Ring and his Ring of Power, Narya, engineers a different outcome. Upon being rescued by Gwaihir, the Lord of Eagles, he proceeds to Eodoras to meet with Theoden. There, instead of being sent away due to Wormtongue's influence as in the original, Gandalf rather persuades Theoden to rally his forces for the impending conflict against the encroaching darkness. While sidelining Wormtongue, Gandalf cunningly manipulates him into becoming his informant, leveraging promises of power and influence that resonate with Wormtongue's dark inclinations and the subtle influence of the ring. Thus, the stage is set for a covert battle of wits amidst the looming shadow of war. At Weathertop, the events unfold much as they did in Tolkien's tale, albeit without Frodo possessing the ring. Despite their best efforts, Frodo and his companions face the relentless pursuit of the Nazgul, and Frodo is stabbed by the Witch King. The encounter serves as a stark reminder of the dangers they face on their journey to Rivendell, where hope for Frodo's recovery and the continuation of Gandalf's quest lies. In Rivendell, representatives from across Middle-earth gather, each with their own reasons for being there. Elves, dwarves, men, and hobbits converge, united by the pressing need to confront the looming threat of Sauron. With the One Ring now in Gandalf's possession, the Council debates its fate. Gandalf proposes a daring plan to wield the ring against Sauron's darkness, to use its power in their struggle, and ultimately to destroy it. Amidst the fervent debate, Elrond stands as a steadfast opponent to Gandalf's daring plan. Alas, no, he intones solemnly, we cannot use the ruling ring that we now know too well. Its strength is too great for anyone to wield at will, save only those who have already a great power of their own. But for them, it holds an even deadlier peril. The very desire of it corrupts the heart. He pauses, his gaze penetrating. Consider Saruman. If any of the wise should with this ring overthrow the Lord of Mordor, he would then set himself on Sauron's throne, and yet another Dark Lord would appear. And that is another reason why the ring should be destroyed. As long as it is in the world, it will be a danger even to the wise. Despite Elrond's cautionary words, Gandalf's resolve remains unwavering. The representatives of the other races, placing their trust in Gandalf's wisdom and strength, reluctantly agree to his plan. He proposes to temporarily bear the ring, using its power sparingly with the ultimate goal of its destruction. Yet, beneath their outward agreement, a palpable tension lingers, hinting at the uncertain and perilous path that lies ahead. With the Council's deliberations concluded, a new paradigm emerges within the halls of Rivendell. Departing from the original notion of the Fellowship of the Ring, singularly dedicated to the destruction of the One Ring, a strategic plan takes shape. The various members of the Council from the races of the Free Peoples are assigned a pivotal role as the leader of their respective races' faction. They are sent home to meticulously and covertly mobilize their people in preparation for the inevitable conflict with Sauron's forces. This stealthy approach is crucial as they seek to avoid prematurely alerting the Dark Lord to their intentions, thereby maintaining the element of surprise for the eventual confrontation. The hobbits, meanwhile, are kept safe in Rivendell and do not depart until the elves eventually leave for the Grey Havens. Aragorn takes on the mantle of Gandalf's lieutenant, a role laden with responsibility. Selected for his noble lineage, unwavering loyalty, and military expertise, Aragorn's primary duty is to rally support from the realms of men. However, his task is complicated by the looming threat of Sauron's gaze, as the Dark Lord may mistakenly believe Aragorn possesses the ring, just as depicted in Tolkien's original tale. Thus, Aragorn must navigate this perilous situation, serving as a decoy to divert Sauron's attention away from the true mission at hand. As these strategic arrangements take shape, Rivendell becomes the epicenter of a meticulously orchestrated campaign, laying the groundwork for the decisive conflict that will determine the fate of Middle-earth. Gandalf and Aragorn delay their departure from Rivendell in order to thoroughly plan and prepare. Following the original timeline, they set forth on their journey in December 3018. Meanwhile, leaders representing each faction are dispatched to their respective homelands, tasked with delivering urgent messages of war preparations. In the shadows of Isengard, Wormtongue's covert allegiance to Gandalf yields a trove of invaluable intelligence. With each whispered report and clandestine observation, he unravels the secrets of Saruman's fortress, providing Gandalf with a detailed understanding of his adversary's plans and vulnerabilities. Having recognized the futility of trying to win over Saruman through conventional means, while in Edoras, Gandalf enlisted Wormtongue as a spy within Isengard's walls. Through Wormtongue's eyes and ears, Gandalf gains insights into Saruman's inner workings and machinations, allowing him to anticipate his adversary's moves and exploit his weaknesses. One pivotal outcome of Wormtongue's espionage is the crucial information he provides about the devastation wrought upon Fangorn Forest by Saruman's forces. With this intelligence in hand, Gandalf is able to convey the dire plight of the Ents to their ancient guardian, Treebeard. Stirred to action by the news of their forest brethren's suffering, Treebeard and the Ents march forth from Fangorn, their wrath unleashed upon Isengard in a thunderous onslaught. As the Ents march on Isengard, the fortress is flooded, trapping Saruman and Wormtongue inside Orthanc, where they remain until Gandalf returns and deals accordingly with them. The remaining armies of Saruman are destroyed, mirroring the events of the original narrative. This marks the downfall of Saruman's power and sets the stage for the eventual victory of the Free Peoples. During this tumultuous period, as the Ents unleash their fury upon Isengard, Gandalf journeys to Helm's Deep, where he aids Theoden and the Rohirrim in overcoming the remnants of Saruman's forces. This pivotal battle, reminiscent of the events chronicled in Tolkien's original narrative, marks a decisive victory for the forces of good. During this time, Aragorn has taken up the mantle of leadership, marshaling the strength of men and rallying the various allies for the impending conflict. As he lays the groundwork for what would become the battle on the fields of Pelenor, the other Free Peoples are quietly fortifying their armies, preparing for imminent attack. Finally, the stage is set for the climactic battles that will determine the fate of Middle-earth. In the north, the forces of Dale and Erebor stand ready, bolstered by the wisdom of Kings Dain and Bard, who have heeded the warnings and prepared more fully for the coming onslaught. As the enemy approaches, their defenses hold firm, turning back the tide of darkness with resolute determination. In this variation of events, where the armies are more fully prepared. Both King Dain and King Bard live through the Battle of Dale, rather than falling outside the gates of Erebor. In Mirkwood, the Galadrim and the Sylvan Elves stand united, their ancient forests echoing with the sounds of war. Having had time to prepare, they meet the enemy's assault with swift and decisive action, driving back the forces of darkness and preserving the sanctity of their realm. The fortress of Dol Guldur is destroyed by Galadriel, and the wood is cleansed and divided up between the elven realms and the woodsmen. Meanwhile, on the fields of Pelenor, the air is thick with the scent of blood and the clash of steel as the armies of Rohan and Gondor wage a desperate struggle against the relentless hordes of Mordor. Without the intervention of Merry and Éowyn, the Witch King's presence looms large, casting a shadow of terror over the battlefield. In the midst of the chaos, Gandalf finds himself locked in a deadly duel with the Nazgul, his powers pitted against the dark sorcery of his ancient foe. Gandalf is able to overcome the Witch King, both because of his power and because of the influence of the ring, and the Witch King is undone. The remaining Nazgul flee behind the gates of Mordor, awaiting instruction from their master. As the battles rage on, Gandalf's use of the ring becomes more frequent, his resolve to personally overcome Sauron growing ever stronger. With each manipulation and persuasion, he feels the creeping tendrils of corruption slowly winding their way around his heart, clouding his judgment and blurring his vision. The original plan to destroy the ring fades into the background as Gandalf becomes increasingly enamored with its power, seeing it not as a perilous weapon of destruction, but as a potent tool to be wielded for the greater good. In his mind, the notion of replacing the Dark Lord with a new leader begins to take root, the desire to reshape the fate of Middle-earth fueling his every thought and action. Yet, as he stands on the precipice of darkness, Gandalf's inner turmoil is a testament to the seductive allure of power and the dangers of succumbing to its temptations. In his quest for victory, he risks losing sight of the very principles he once swore to uphold, his noble intentions overshadowed by the looming shadow of corruption. As the remaining forces of the Free Peoples rally at the Morannon, the tension in the air is palpable, the weight of destiny hanging heavy upon their shoulders. With Gandalf at their helm, they stand united against the looming darkness, their spirits bolstered by the flickering flames of hope that still burn within their hearts. At the forefront of the gathered host, Gandalf strides forth, his eyes ablaze with a fierce determination that allows no dissent. With the One Ring gleaming upon his finger, he casts aside all pretense, openly flaunting its power as a challenge to the Dark Lord himself. In Tolkien's letter 246, he muses on the possibility of Gandalf personally challenging Sauron to a duel, a notion that carries with it the weight of destiny and the echoes of ancient prophecies. In a clash of titanic proportions, Gandalf stands as the sole being capable of confronting Sauron directly, his mastery of both magic and martial prowess making him a formidable adversary. In a duel that rivals the War of Wrath in concentrated intensity, Gandalf and Sauron meet upon the field of battle, their powers clashing with the ancient force of their celestial nature. With the fate of Middle-earth hanging in the balance, Gandalf fights not only for victory, but for the very soul of the world itself. In Tolkien's letter 246, he reflects upon the potential outcome of such a confrontation, noting that Gandalf alone could have defeated Sauron, and if he had possessed the ring, his defeat would have been akin to the destruction of the ring itself. Yet, he also warns of the dangers of such power, cautioning that Gandalf as Ring Lord would have been far worse than Sauron, his righteousness giving way to self-righteousness, and his rule blurring the lines between good and evil until all distinctions were lost. As we ponder the potential outcome of Gandalf's victory over Sauron, we are faced with a sobering realization of the possible consequences. In Tolkien's musings, he warns of a Middle-earth under Gandalf's twisted rule, where the ideals of the greater good become the ruling notion for everything. In this vision, Middle-earth would transform into an ultra-moralist society, where dissent is harshly quashed in the name of collective harmony. While the eradication of evil may seem like a noble goal, the price of such a utopia would be the loss of individual freedom and autonomy. Under Gandalf's rule, the pursuit of individual happiness and fulfillment would be frowned upon, as the greater good of society takes precedence above all else. Joy would become a distant memory, replaced by a cold and sterile existence, where conformity reigns supreme. This distortion of Gandalf's wisdom towards extremity would be facilitated by the influence of the One Ring, which still possessed Sauron's hatred and malice. As the ring gradually corrupts Gandalf's perception of what is truly good, his rule would become increasingly oppressive and tyrannical. In contrast to Sauron's stark division between good and evil, Gandalf's rule would blur the lines, making good a hazy area where what once seemed noble may become oppressive. While Sauron believed he was fixing a broken world by imposing his vision of order, Gandalf's rule would usher in an era where the very notion of good becomes twisted and distorted. In tracing the hypothetical path of Gandalf wielding the One Ring, we've traversed a landscape rich with moral complexities and cautionary tales, from the seductive allure of power to the subtle erosion of noble intentions. Tolkien's narrative invites us to contemplate the profound implications of unchecked ambition. As we reflect on Gandalf's journey, let us not only heed the warnings embedded within Tolkien's masterpiece, but also engage in a deeper exploration of our own capacity for virtue and vice. What lessons will you take from this speculative journey? How might you apply them to your own understanding of power and morality? As we navigate the intricate landscape of Middle-earth, let us continue to seek wisdom and discernment, ever mindful of the delicate balance between light and shadow. Embark on a journey through the realms of Middle-earth, where tales of courage, wisdom, and the eternal struggle between light and darkness await. Join us as we dive into the depths of Tolkien's rich fantasy and explore the hidden treasures of his legendarium. Subscribe to join the fellowship and ring the notification bell to never miss your next adventure.